Campaigning is a long old slog, especially now at the end of week 5, or just how long we've been tracking the locations visited by party leaders. Now, the colour of the constituency corresponds to which political party currently holds it. Blue for Tory, red for Labour. Now, Rishi Sunak's first campaign stop was here in the East Midlands. This is a seat that should be considered safe with a 22% Conservative majority, but one he thinks clearly could be vulnerable. Week 2, and in his first visit to the North East, Rishi Sunak was up in Redcar to launch his blue bus, a rare Labour visit. Week 3 went over to Grimsby, as did Keir Starmer. The week they both took part in Sky's Battle for Number 10 event. This is a key battleground because whoever wins there stands a good chance of winning overall. Now, many of these places over the latest 2 weeks were supposed to be Tory strongholds where you wouldn't normally need a leader to campaign. The same here. Finally, this week, the Prime Minister took to throwing some plates at Denby Pottery in Derbyshire. So at the start, the Tories were targeting a relatively wide range of places, mostly within the bounds of what it was assumed they needed to defend to prevent a Labour majority. That has now changed. They've apparently taken on an extremely defensive position, focusing on places that once might have seemed impregnable. Compare that to Labour, which started with a visit to Tory Derby South in the East Midlands, and that shows the scale of their boldness out of the blocks, not shying away from the places with serious Conservative majorities, or here down Gillingham in Kent. That's the sort of region that only Blair managed to conquer back in 1997. Week 2, Starmer joined Labour Deputy Leader Angela Rayner to launch her own battle bus in Boris Johnson's old constituency here, Uxbridge and South Ruislip. And Manchester Central was the launching pad for Labour's manifesto, so that was a rare visit to red home turf there, and another one the next week. But Starmer has visited seats held by his party only 3 times in his 23 stops. And this week, the Labour leader visited Bollington, one of Cheshire's market towns. That's another blue seat. So how does that physical schlepping around the country match up with the digital campaign? Well, throughout the campaign, we've been working with Who Targets Me, which tracks digital spending on political adverts. And this shows where the Conservatives have been spending their money. You can see the receipts targeted by the Tories, that has decreased over time. But it's less a retrenchment or a retreat. Really, there's not much coherence here. Every seat seems to be sorting itself out. So there's a lot of variation. Now, Labour's a different story. They are targeting large swathes of the UK. You can see that here again over the week. It's a pretty blanket coverage. It shows how competitive they are all across the country. And the sorts of adverts being sorted up, served to people online, well, this is the sort of thing from the Tories. It's an attack advert on Labour. But Labour are also running their own attack adverts too. If we show you what that looks like, you've got the other side of things. Now, this is actually, again, it's fairly graphic. Sorry about that. This is actually fairly rare for Labour to run an attack advert like this. We've crunched the numbers. Labour have posted over 5,500 adverts, lots and lots and lots over the course of the campaign, but they're consistent in their message. They're backing themselves and they're backing this message. Change appears in 22% of their adverts. They only mention the Tories in 11% of them. Now compare that to the Conservative approach. On Meta, they've been running fewer ads. I mean, it's going to look like a lot again, but actually they've only run just over 1,600 adverts, so a lot fewer. And also in 83% of those, they've mentioned Labour. So this is a lot of attack adverts. And they've only mentioned Rishi Sunak in just 1.1% of their adverts. And that is probably the story here, both on the ground and on the social networks. The Tories are fighting a rearguard action.